I'm Simon Lister, I'm the Managing Director of Aircraft Carrier Alliance. I've been here for 2 years and my responsibility has been to finally deliver the Queen Elizabeth and bring the Prince of Wales to the standard you see behind me today. The improvement programme, I think, really kick-started a long-standing improvement programme across the Prince of Wales.
I'm Angus Holt and I was the Delivery Build Director for Prince of Wales. So my role was really bringing the whole team together from when the blocks were transported from the various build sites up to the assembly site here in Rosyth. The carrier programme as a whole was an iconic programme. It's the biggest ships we've ever built in the UK. The blocks were built right across the UK. We had people from all across Europe working on the ships and seeing them come together, but also working very closely with the Royal Navy crew who came on board very early on in the assembly phase and worked with us extremely closely.
Angus introduced bandwidth and really intellectual, pragmatic bandwidth to conduct some key business improvement in the Aircraft Carrier Alliance. That has stood the test of time and that kick-started a process that has continued to this day. What we were able to do was take on the thinking that Newton brought to us, develop it and make it our own. So I'm very pleased with the eventual impact. If I'm crude about it, we've delivered the Prince of Wales for 20% less than the Queen Elizabeth. I have to say that those efforts were kick-started and given the ambition and the vision by that improvement programme from the outset.
I'm Henry Parker. I'm the Director of Ship Acquisition in the Ministry of Defence. My role is to manage the acquisition of all surface warships for the Royal Navy. The challenge we had as an alliance was to deliver this ship to extremely challenging performance, cost and time parameters. And at the time we started the programme, we knew that if we continued as we were going to fail. So actually this programme was a complete strategic necessity to deliver what we said we'd do in that political announcement in November 12, where we set the parameters of the programme, which we're still on track for.
I think the first challenge is the unconscious ignorance of the gap to close between world class and where you're at. It is quite challenging in business, I think in the shipbuilding business in particular, to cause folk to realise just how much better they could become.
So my name's Joe Riley. I was the Delivery Director for Queen Elizabeth. So it was about how do we get them enabled, how do we fix the planning process, how do we minimise change, how do we get materials, equipment and tooling in front of them at the place of work, how do we fix the issues that we were finding at their place of work to make sure that we could keep them there and keep them there effectively working.
There were two key aspects for me which really made the launch of the programme successful. Firstly, we established a joint improvement team. It's one thing bringing in a bunch of external consultants to design and implement an improvement programme, but to really engage the workforce and ensure that the changes land with the people that ultimately are going to be working with the new processes and systems, you have to get the engagement right. So we built a joint improvement team from the very beginning. Another thing I think which we did particularly well was getting the upfront communications right. Part of the programme in its initial phase was about understanding and measuring the existing performance, and that involved a lot of time out with the tradespeople, understanding the reasons for lost time. So two key parts for me in the launch, that joint improvement team and that open upfront communications.
We started as we usually do, right on the shop floor, working with the guys day to day that's actually building the ship. And that highlighted to us some of the real frustrations and obstacles that's in the way of actually getting the ship built.
One of the most impressive things that Newton did while they were with us was just show us what could be done through interventions of the type that Newton design and implement. Newton's specialist skill from my perspective is combining an intellectual analysis of the situation and an in-depth intellectual analysis of the situation based on really good research and close-up research on the shop floor. And then combine that analysis with really good implementation skills that have helped us manage the change and implement the change and make the change stick. So that's a double win from our perspective. What they've also done is give us the ambition to change ourselves, and from those origins we've been able to adapt and develop as the program has moved from phase to phase. So we've built our own capability to implement change in the way that was first illustrated through the AIM program.
We were looking at the feedback from the workforce, we were looking at the weighted milestones, so we knew that things were going in the right direction, and we were able to confirm that with the feedback that we got from the workforce. But the nugget for me came when my boss, Ian Booth at the time, Ian used to come into my office after his breakfast meeting on a Monday. He would catch me at some point during the day and he would share with me the issues that were presented at that breakfast meeting. And pretty much over a period of about 9 months, it was the same stuff that we were getting every Monday. And then one day, I remember the day he came into my office and he sat there and he just mused for a wee while and he said to me, "All positive today, Joe."
There's a short-term and a long-term legacy of the AIM programme. The short-term legacy is fundamentally that we have achieved what we set out to achieve in 2012. The lasting legacy is that it's given the industry confidence that we can do this stuff. The UK can deliver world levels of productivity on projects like this, which are highly complex, one-off, special purpose programmes.
One of the key challenges we see in defence is engaging the workforce. You can do all the process and systemic fixes in the world and change ways of working, but if the engagement isn't there, it will ultimately fail.
One of my frustrations is that industry and the Ministry of Defence need to exploit the input that Newton have provided. I think what we should be doing is continuously learning, developing and sharing the lessons across the programmes in defence as lessons that are generic in many situations. It's all about enablement of the workforce in accordance with a realistic programme plan, and that basic lesson needs to be implemented time after time in many of our programmes.